What's the first thing us gardeners buy in the springtime? Compost and fertilizer. Well, why not make it right now for free? Let's face it, around the holidays or any festive event where you're cooking a lot, you're gonna have a ton of kitchen scraps. Celery, carrots, potato peels, so much. Don't throw them away in your garbage. I'm gonna show you how easy it is to compost these, and winter is a perfect time to do this because the rain comes down and wets your compost, which it needs. And don't get scared thinking, oh my goodness, okay, composting is just too complicated. It's really not. Honestly, if I were just to bury these kitchen scraps in my dirt, they would be all finished composting by the time spring comes around. Now let me show you how I do it in the ground, and then I'm going to show you my little compost buckets for those of you who already have snow and you can't dig a hole in your backyard. I already have some compost making right here, so I'm going to dig another hole right here. There's no rules. It doesn't have to be any particular depth. Just dig a hole. Hopefully you can find a place in your garden that isn't being used. Maybe you took an old plant out in the summertime or the fall, it just didn't work out for you. See, so I'm planning on planting something here in spring. So if I can just bury some kitchen scraps now and make some compost, when it is time to plant my roses in spring, they're already gonna have fertilizer. So instead of dropping starter fertilizer in this hole, there's already gonna be compost. And it's going to be better than anything you buy in the store. There, no big deal, I just dug a hole. Now I'm simply going to dump in my kitchen scraps. You're probably thinking, well, don't I have to add brown and green and brown and green and make it balanced? Basically, brown is the carbon, leaves, newspaper, things like that, and kitchen scraps are the nitrogen. Brown materials such as cardboard, dried leaves, shredded paper, wood chips, even ripped up egg cartons, they're rich in carbon and provide energy to the microorganisms that break down organic matter. Green materials such as food scraps, grass clippings, and coffee grounds are rich in nitrogen and help the microorganisms grow and multiply quickly. Having a mixture of both green and brown material will ensure that the composting process works properly. Here's a little tip for composting. The smaller the items are, the quicker they decompose. So sometimes what I do is I just get a shovel and I just kind of smash it up. Eggshells, you should crush those. Eggshells take the longest to decompose. So this just kind of helps break everything down. And like I said, in the wintertime when it's raining, that's even better because the earthworms love a moist compost. But don't overthink trying to get the measurements right. Every once in a while, when you're throwing in your kitchen scraps, simply toss in a handful of dried leaves or eggshells, and nature will do the rest. It really is that simple. So I'm simply gonna cover this with dirt. Keep that covered. Now come springtime when I plant my rose, it's going to be in this area. There's going to be so many nutrients and worm castings and wonderful things for my rose to bloom. Okay, now you're thinking, will a dog dig it up? That is a possibility. That's why I'm going to show you how you can compost in buckets if you have animals that dig, or if you have snow and there's no room in your garden to dig a hole. So let me take you over there. Okay, let's walk past my narrow space vegetable garden. This is also where I compost in buckets. This is just a nursery pot. Nothing fancy, just a nursery pot. And I've continued to put kitchen scraps in here along with some hay and droppings from my chicken coop. Now, of course, in the summertime with all the heat, these would decompose a lot quicker. In wintertime, it will take a little bit longer because they're not getting heated up. But what's wonderful about this is you're not really doing anything in your garden anyway. And like I said, You had all those kitchen scraps. I know when I made my Thanksgiving turkey, oh my goodness, I had so much stuff. Potato peels, carrot shavings, celery, you name it. I just had loads of it. So at least it's in here making free fertilizer for my spring garden. And another great thing about composting in the ground or in these pots, you're going to get a ton of earthworms. So worm castings are so good for the garden. I used to have one of those tumblers a long time ago, one of those fancy expensive tumblers, and it worked really good, but I didn't get any worm castings in those. I guess worms can't crawl up and get inside because they're kind of tight and there's no holes for them to get in. But there's holes in these nursery pots and worms do crawl inside. So when my compost is done, I have tons of worms and castings and all kinds of microorganisms that my spring garden is absolutely going to love. So I highly encourage you, don't throw away your kitchen scraps. Put them in your garden right now in the winter time, so you'll have compost and free fertilizer ready for your spring garden. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and perhaps me showing you how easy composting is, this will inspire you to try it in your garden too. Thanks for watching.